Hey there, everyone. My name is Dr. Sarah Andreas. For this episode, we are going to talk about bench strength. Usually when I mention bench strength, the first thing that pops into people's heads is the idea of sports and making sure that your sports team has people on the bench who can fill in when the key players have time off for sickness or injury. Or maybe they're just not playing at their normal A game. So why do you think businesses don't build bench strength in their organizations? We know how critical it is for sports teams. Don't we think that it's just as critical for our companies and our organizations? A lot of times I think that just gets neglected. It gets put on the back burner because you're busy having and doing business of today. But the reality is if you want your organization to be successful long term, you need to start thinking about bench strength right now. In a recent article I read, our baby boomers are retiring at a number of about 10,000 people a day. And that started around 2011, and they forecast that that'll continue to go on until about 2029. So think about that. Every day, about 10,000 people are retiring from our organizations. That's a lot of people. And if we don't have bench strength, people who are already keyed up and ready to help us get to our next level, there's going to be a gap to fill. So here's a couple quick tips that you can actually put into place right now to help you start building your bench strength. The first thing is to identify potential people for development. So look around your organization. Who is already raising their hand? Who is already volunteering? Who's already taking the lead, but they need some polishing? That's a good group of people to start with. Then have conversations with them. Understand what their future goals are and where they're looking to achieve and go in their future. If you have a really superstar in your organization and in the conversation you have with them, you find out that their ultimate goal is they're going to school to become a doctor, and they're just working in your organization while they're trying to get through school. Well, planning on them being a part of your bench strength is not a good plan. Now, that doesn't mean you can't give them additional responsibilities while they're there, but you can't count on them for the long term because their goal is to eventually go into a different career path. But the people that you talk to who are passionate about their career inside of your organization, or maybe when you talk to them, they're not like talking about staying in your organization, they're not talking about leaving, but they're very passionate about what you're doing, then those are the people that you want to start developing. And there's really simple things that you can do to develop people. One of the best things that I've seen is have them work on project teams. And you might not have projects in your organization. You might say, Sarah, I don't have any projects currently. Well, I bet you do. You probably in the back of your mind have a list of maybe 5 or 6 things that you would like to get done over the course of the year. And you think in your head, hey, I really got to handle this myself. Well, are one of those people that you're trying to develop for bench strength a person who you could give pieces of that project to and let them start growing their skills? And it gives you an opportunity to see how do they handle responsibility that's not their normal job. Are they responsible? Do they get things done? Do you have to tell them every step, or are they able to figure things out for themselves? The kind of qualities that we look for in leaders, of course. And once you give them those little baby projects and let them start on that, you can give them more and more stuff. The other thing that you can do is give them opportunities to work in different departments or different areas inside of your company. Let them learn about your organization from the ground up. And you might think, well, they're not going to like that. It doesn't mean you have to assign them there for the rest of their career. It means that maybe one day a week you have them shadowing another leader in your organization to give them opportunities to see the other pieces. And I think sometimes when you do that, at least in my experience, it gives the person a broader view of your organization and a broader understanding of how all the pieces can fit together. The last thing that I suggest you do is think about some type of formal leadership development. Help them improve their communication skills. Maybe you suggest they join Toastmasters and learn how to do a great job doing public presentations and speeches if that's an area that they need to improve on. Have the conversations with them. Help understand where their strengths are and where are the areas that they feel like they need to develop. And then you just keep doing that with multiple people throughout your organization. You identify somebody, you get them on a development path, you start planning, hey, maybe I can get them to work in this area for a while. And then as time goes by and as you have people retiring, you're already developing people to move into those roles. So here's the thing that you don't want to do. You don't want to go up to the person and say, hey, I think that you're going to be the next vice president. We shouldn't crown people ahead of time. It doesn't make any sense because all of a sudden it changes how they're interacting with everybody else and they might still have a lot of development they need to do. So if you're thinking about developing your bench strength in your organization, that's a great start. But don't just think about it. You actually have to do something. You have to be intentional. A lot of times when we're thinking about bench strength and we're thinking about developing people, we think, oh, well, somebody else will do it. My managers will take care of that. But if you're the leader of the organization, you need to make sure that you're leading that charge or you have somebody else who is leading that charge. Because development doesn't happen by accident. You have to be purposeful in it. And you want to make sure that as your baby boomers are retiring, that information, the tribal knowledge that they have in their head has been shared with your up and coming team. So that way you're not left holding a bunch of spaces that are not filled. You have people who can potentially fill them. All right. I'll talk to you guys next week.